get my 6. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid and whatever the heck this channel's about. Today, this channel's about a military artillery unit actually shelling Bigfoot Sasquatch. And it's also about some really awesome paranormal events that have to do with direct lightning strikes. Don't want to get ahead of myself. Listen, I want to thank all of you who have been emailing the channel with your stories. Again, for those of you who have missed it, you go to the About page, but not everybody is internet savvy. It's simple. It's crazylake@mail.com. Not Gmail, not none of these other whatever server email things. It's just @mail. Crazy Lake, my name, Crazy Lake, @mail.com. That's it. Listen, and before I get into this, I want to let you know, because so many of you have emailed me just in the last couple of days since we created that email address. If I do not respond to you, do not take it personally. I appreciate the messages. A lot of folks are just messaging and showing your support. You're not sending stories. You're telling me how much you love the show and you enjoy our family and all that. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. But there's just been so many people contacting me through that email. I simply don't have the time to respond to everybody. It's nothing personal. It doesn't mean that I'm not taking you seriously or that I view you as unimportant. Each and every single one of you that watches my videos, whether you ever comment or not, whether you ever get in contact with me or not, are important to me, okay? Please know that. Also, many of you are very creative. There's been times throughout the last few years where I have shared stories sent in from viewers. There's been times where, with permission, I have published some stories in some of the Bigfoot Sasquatch files from people, from viewers. And people have said, how did they reach you? I've been trying to reach you. Well, I didn't tell you because these people were being very creative in the ways in which they were making contact with me, and I didn't want the floodgates to open. But they've opened by way of this email address, crazylake@mail.com. And I'll tell you who each and every one of you have to thank for that. And that's my buddy Travis Daigle over at Fighting Past 40. Because I've been putting this off for years. I had the fears about the vertically challenged individuals who live under bridges, coming at me, further harassment. An hour and 15-minute long phone conversation with Travis got me past that. Then I had the concern of, just being overwhelmed and inundated with stories and not being able to keep up with them, as well as my own personal writing, my training, all these other things I do, my family time, which is most important above all those things. But Travis said something to me, and I shared a short that he put up about this today on his channel, Fighting Past 40. And thank you for all of you who have gone there and subscribed to him. You are allowing this man to continue to live his dream. He's a very motivational speaker, former U.S. Army Green Beret who served in Afghanistan in that capacity. We met at basic training. We went to basic training, AIT, and airborne school together. Lost contact for many years, but now we've reconnected. He's an amazing human being, but all he's ever really wanted to do was really gain traction in social media so he could further his speaking career, and not so much that he could become more successful for his own personal gain, but because he could reach out there and help touch so many people who need to hear his message. This guy's one of them. But in his short he shared today, he talked about work ethic, and he says, what is work ethic? And he says, it's not having spent 30 years at the same job, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that's commendable, okay? I have respect for people who have done that. But that's not necessarily because you possess work ethic. That's because you've found your comfort zone. You're comfortable. Now, if that's your case, but you're not really happy with the pay you receive, you're not really happy with the way your employers treat you, but you've stayed there, that's not so much okay, because what it is you actually, though you may have never heard this, lack work ethic. You lack what it takes to go out there and better yourself, be it through obtaining more skills, having the courage to step out of that comfort zone and pursue careers where you can be paid what it is you feel you're worth. Listen, as sad as it is to state, there are low-wage jobs. There are jobs that are worthy of low wages because they don't require any great skill, no advanced degrees. You hear, and this is no disrespect toward teachers. I have a sister that's a teacher, got friends that are teachers. Personally, I feel teaching is the most underrespected and underpaid job in our society. That's my honest opinion. I also believe that before you go into teaching, you understand full well what you will be paid as a teacher, and it's not much. Instead of griping and complaining and maybe trying to start unions if you're in a right-to-work state, that's not work ethic. Staying in your comfort zone, what it is you're lacking the courage and the true work ethic required to step out of that comfort zone and take on new skills and different skills to pursue different endeavors where you will be paid what it is you believe you're worth. Now, I'm going to add my 2 cents to that, and I'm going to tell you about how Travis inspired me to do this right here. I wholeheartedly believe something that I heard many years ago when I was a stockbroker, and that is this. I heard this from a top producing broker. People pretty much earn what they're worth, period. If you're worth $500,000 a year in income, you will find a way to earn $500,000 a year. Because you won't settle until you hit that number. You won't take a teaching job where after 30 years you might make 70 grand a year because you're worth $500,000, so you'll pursue different interests. If you're making 30 grand a year, it's because that's probably all you're worth. Now, it doesn't mean that that's the most you can ever make or that's the most you will ever be worth. That's what you have decided that you are worth at this point in your life. Like Travis says in his channel when he's motivating people, if you're breathing air into your lungs, if your heart's still beating, that means you're still alive. You can make the choice to do something different. You can make different choices and you can up your status because you can choose to leave the profession you may currently be in that you don't feel is paying you what you're worth. What are you worth? Name your number. Bam, that's your number? Okay. What that you're actually interested in, that you would enjoy doing, could you do where you could get that number? It's really that easy, folks. Go get it. Go get it. Because if you just stay where you are and clamor and complain about being deserving of more, being deserving of being treated better, you're just like a gong right there, banging a gong beside a railroad track while the train of opportunity and the train of life passes you by. It's very ineffective. It's a waste of your time. It's a waste of your life. Travis, and listen, like I said, every time you point the finger at somebody, you got 3 pointing back at yourself, right? I was in my comfort zone by not having an email address readily available. And I told Travis, I said, I'm worried about the vertically challenged individuals who live under bridges. I come from a very toxic background, as you know, and Travis is, we share 9 months together. Military training is an eternity. And you really share, you open up. I've opened up with my battle buddies from the military about stuff I've never opened up with anybody else about because we shared experiences I've never shared with anybody else. It's really an amazing experience you have when you're in the military. But he told me, he said, look, you got to let that go. You got to get past that. Get out of that fear. Who cares? And he says, secondly, you're doing all these people a disservice. He's like, do you see how many subscribers you have? And I'm like, well, yeah. He goes, those people have stories that they want to tell. You need to let them get in touch with you so they can tell their stories. And I'm like, they can start their own YouTube channels. This is true. And I'm not trying to come across as offensive. I'm just coming across as honest. I said, they can start their channel. They can start their stories. He says, He says, you're comfortable. You've got a system you've been doing for years, and maybe you don't want to take on the extra work. But he says, listen, these people don't have your voice. They don't have your reach. They follow you. They watch you religiously. They deserve to have their stories told. He was right. He was right about you deserving to have your stories told, and I'm going to tell 2 of them here in just a minute. I know this was supposed to be like a 90-second intro, but when have I ever just said anything in 90 seconds? Again, everything I'm telling you, Travis explained in less than a minute in the short. You've really got to go to the channel, Fighting Past 40, subscribe, watch this guy's videos. But he was right. I'd gotten comfortable. So I mentioned yesterday, because I read a story that was submitted by one of you to the email address, that in October, when I come up here every evening and read to you a story from October Nights, Part 2, 31 more tales for the Halloween season, which I am going to do. I hope everyone watching buys my books. I write because I love to write. And when I write, it's a craft. It's an art. It's like a living being. Okay, and I don't write for money. I write for the love of writing. But once I'm finished, those books, they're widgets for sale. And I make a profit. And I hope every daggone one of you watching buys one, because I make more money. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm not trying to do that, because I am. You know, when I buy my groceries at the grocery store, or when I pay my mortgage every month, they only accept currency, credit, check. They don't accept my well wishes. They don't, when you go get your car fixed, the guy doesn't say, oh, you don't owe me anything. I fix cars because I like to help people. I work for free. We all deserve to get paid for the work we do, and writing is part of the work that I do. But I mentioned that on top of coming out here and reading those every night, if you guys send in enough stories, I'll make 2 videos a day. I'll make one in the mornings where I share your stories, and then the one in the evening where I share mine. Travis was right. I was not willing to do that because I have gotten comfortable. I've entered my comfort zone. I make enough money to where my family's more than comfortable. I make enough money in such a very efficient use of my time to where my life's my own. I actually am training full time as a distance runner again for the first time in 20 years, even though I'm almost 50. I've taken up the woodworking, not just carving with knives. I've advanced past that. I've bought power tools I've never used before in my life. 2 days ago, a scroll saw came in. Bought a handheld electric sander last year I never used because it was just an idea I had to woodwork, but I've really gotten into it full bore. These are the things I'm able to do because of the life I've set up for myself, but I've become comfortable. Travis has challenged me to get out of that comfort zone, and actually my goal, was to make 2 or 3 videos a week and do all those other things a lot more. I am on fire because of the fire Travis has lit underneath me to do 2 videos a day, if that's what it calls for. If you guys keep sending these stories, I'll do 2 videos a day. I will become uncomfortable. Now, I will still do the things I enjoy doing, but I will go through the discomfort of having to rearrange my day. Now, my days start at 5 a.m. and they don't end to 11, but I know there's time in there somewhere that I'm using inefficiently and ineffectively. I'll change that. So, as my beautiful bride dearly, aka Giggly Girl, would say, with no further ado, I'm going to read you a couple of stories, okay? Listen, I've already got a pile of them. I intend to get to all of them. So if you've sent a story and yours is not here today, just keep coming back to the channel. You're going to hear it when I get to it. A couple favors. Go out. If you could, please try to keep them under 1,000 words. And you're probably like, what's that even mean? I know if you're not a writer, you don't even really know what this means. These are 2 stories. Look at this, just so you'll know. It's about 1.5 pages. This is 770 words. 1,000 words is about 2 pages, single spaced. I went in and put the breaks through in between the paragraphs. And please, if you could, if you don't mind, please reread what you wrote and edit it to the best of your ability so I don't have to spend a whole lot of time doing that. I know that not everybody out there is writers, not everybody out there that has editing skills. And I'm certainly not ridiculing the way any of you write. I love the stories that you've sent in so far. They're wonderful, okay? And I promise you, I'll do my best to clean them up enough to where I can present them presentably. I know that's redundant, but hey, so am I, and so are half of you. Who cares? But yeah, just don't send me a book because I'm just not going to have time to get to all the stories, okay? The first one comes from Bill Musgrove. And, by the way, I know, can't you just stick to it? That's why Travis's channel in so many ways is better than mine. He sticks to his points. I'm all over the place. Some people have contacted me and said, I have a really awesome story, but I don't want anybody to know who I am. Because, you know, when you talk about these things, the paranormal, the supernatural, the spiritual realm, the other side of the veil, cryptozoological entities such as Bigfoot Sasquatch, the Loch Ness Monster, all these things, people, they'll call you crazy. So, and folks have said they don't want family members to know that they have certain skills and gifts. They've asked for confidentiality. anonymity. I will grant that. If you're concerned about that, when you send me the story, state, hey, please don't use my name in this story. And I won't. Give you my word, okay? But the first one comes from Bill Musgrove. Bill says, Kevin, I understood exactly the other day what your message was because you said at the end, until next time. This was a video titled, The Time Has Come to Say Goodbye, in which a lot of people were confused. But Bill listened very closely, and I'm not giving hell to those who didn't get it. It was a deep talk. It was 30 minutes long, and you had to hang on every word to get it. But a lot of folks got it, and I think a lot of the reason folks have gotten it, as Bill is going to confirm here, is because they or a close loved one has been through the same crap, and so they could really get it. So Bill says, Kevin, I understood exactly the other day what your message was because you said at the end, until next time. It was a bit vague, but my wife has the almost same problem with family that you do. Like you, she divorced herself from them. Kudos to you. Thanks for the email address because I'm not much into leaving comments. Sir, you have a unique channel. Not the channel itself, but you, sir, have a unique understanding of life and people. Anyway, I really like your channel. Thank you, Bill. Let me tell you about the only Bigfoot Sasquatch story I have. It's not as dramatic as many people have, but here goes. In 1979, I was at camp in Camp Ripley, Minnesota for the Iowa National Guard. We were having our war games and the shelling was pounding and pounding. Sounded like the 4th of July. Afterwards, there was the loudest 30-some second scream in which everyone went quiet. One of the big shots said, "Must be a bear, huh?" The local guy there said, "It's not a bear. We'll leave it at that." It only took me 20 years to figure out what he meant. Anywho, it's interesting. I say anywho too. Glad you're not going anywhere. This old guy gets your videos. Most anyway. I was confused by the old man character at first. Biden, Brandon. But at least it didn't take me 20 years. Once again, kudos, and I like your wife's channel as well, as Fighting Past 40. Great. Thank you, Bill. Somebody was messaged here a while back something about how they love my sense of humor. They just, bust up in stitches watching these videos. And I told them, I'm glad you get it. Most don't. But there's about 3,000 to 5,000 of you who watch religiously who do. It's very dry. It's very witty. I heard a growl. It's just a bear, eh? Wasn't no bear. Keep getting my 6. Okay, moving on to the next story. This one comes from Sandra V in Texas, who sent us a Bigfoot Sasquatch story a couple weeks ago. Here we go. I grew up in a small town called Brashear, located in Texas off of I-30. I was 2 when we moved out there. My mom and us kids were not aware of anything unusual about this property. Mom said that Dad inherited it from his dad. One evening, while watching rain coming down in the field, I was 7 at the time. It was kind of dark outside except whenever the lightning came crashing down. As I looked out towards our field, I saw 2 men on horseback coming across the field. I ran to Mom and told her these men are going to get killed. To explain this, some people don't know that sweating horses draw electricity. I didn't know that. So I guess her concern was, here comes 2 men riding hard on horses. The horses are sweating. That's going to draw a lightning strike. Mom came to my window, and sure enough, there were 2 men riding horses out in this really bad storm. Within minutes, lightning struck them. My mom screamed to wake my father. She told him what we'd seen. So he gets up, gets dressed, rubber boots and all, and heads out to the field. He searched and searched, but found nothing. The next morning, before Mom got up, I was dressed and went out there. I too searched. Here's what I found. I went to where I first saw them, and there was hoof prints on the dirt, 2 sets of hoof prints. I followed the hoof prints, and they stopped at the area where we saw them get struck. As I looked around, I found bones. I gathered up what I found and I took it back to my mom. She then took the bones to a vet since they looked more like animal bones. When we got home from school, I asked Mom, "So, what kind of bones were they?" She said she was waiting for the police to show up. A few minutes later, a police car showed up. My mom spoke to the officer and she said some of the bones were human and some were equine or horse. Here's what we found out. 20 years before we got there to that property, a man and his son had been struck by lightning and they died in the spot where the bones where we found were. They had been out checking on their cows as one was due to have a calf. They had raced back towards their barn in heavy rain and were struck and killed. Both men and horses perished, and every year that we have had a lightning storm, I used to always see them way back then. I made a cross of cement and placed it upon that spot with the Lord's Prayer written on it. You see, their bodies exploded and not all the pieces were found. That's why I think they keep coming back on the anniversary of their deaths. True story. Sandra V., I don't doubt it for a minute. So I want to thank both of our story submitters tonight, Bill and Sandra, for submitting your stories. Again, I've got more on a pile down there. I'm going to get out of my comfort zone. I'm going to talk less about me and share more of these stories so we can get maybe 3 or 4 in a decent amount of time going forward. But I'll still do me. Trust me. It's like Bill says, I have a very unique channel. There's going to be days where I just want to come out here and do me. And then, of course, man, these home security, hidden CCTV trail cam things pick up the most amazing footage. Of course, there's always going to be that. So to some capacity, see you for more next time.